The sky on Krill 9 was never blue. It was a sickly orange, stained by dust storms that never ended. 2 suns hung low, burning like dying coals, casting long shadows over the cracked red ground. Far in the distance, jagged towers of black stone rose like broken teeth from the earth. No one knew who built them. No one remembered. They just stood there, silent, ancient, watching. At the edge of this forgotten world, a small human outpost clung to survival. Its name was Hope's Edge. A joke, really, not because there was no hope, but because hope was all they had left. Inside the main dome, Commander Lena Voss stood alone by the wide observation window. Her reflection stared back at her dark eyes, tired face, a scar along her jaw from a mission gone wrong years ago. She didn't move, just watched the wind tear at the metal walls like it wanted to pull the whole station apart. Outside, the dust swirled like ghosts. Behind her, the control room hummed with quiet tension. Holographic screens flickered with star maps, sensor data, and long lines of unread messages sent to the Galactic Concord, all unanswered. Jax Morin, the tech specialist, sat hunched over his console, fingers flying across the keys. His curly hair was messy, glasses cracked at one corner. He hadn't slept in 2 days. Still nothing, he muttered. They're not even pretending to listen. Dr. Alara Taney leaned against a wall, arms crossed. She was small, with a voice that stayed calm even when everything else wasn't. They don't care about the edge. We're the ones who clean up their messes, the ones they forget about. Lena turned slowly. Then maybe it's time we stop waiting to be saved. A warning tone broke the silence, soft at first, then louder. Red lights flashed. JAX froze. That's not a storm warning. Everyone looked at the main screen. The stars far beyond the system were twisting, not moving, bending, like something was tearing open the fabric of space itself. It's a fold, Jox whispered, but not ours. No signal, no ID. It's raw. Lena stepped closer. Her heart beat slow and heavy. She'd seen this before. Not in real life. In the files, the classified ones. The ones that made even the oldest alien races go quiet. Another. One's gone, Alara said, reading the data. Station theta. 1 minute it's there. The next, nothing. No explosion. No debris. Just erased. Jox looked up, fear in his eyes. That's the 3rd one this month. All human outposts. Lena clenched her fists. They think it's an accident, a space storm, a glitch, but it's not. Then what is it? Alara asked. Lena didn't answer right away. She walked to the map, tapped a point in deep space, a dark zone between galaxies. Something's coming. Something that doesn't want us to exist, and it's picking us off, one by one. Jock shook his head. But why? We're not a threat to anyone. We're the new ones, the weak ones, the emotional ones, as the aliens like to say. Exactly, Lena said. We feel, we fight, we survive. Maybe that's the problem. Outside, the wind howled. The lights flickered, and far away, in the cold silence between stars, something moved. No sound, no light, just the slow, silent pull of something ancient and hungry. The others didn't know it yet, but Lena did. This wasn't just an attack, it was a hunt, and humanity was the prey. But hunters forget one thing sometimes. The hunted bite back. She looked at her team, tired, scared, but still standing, still trying, and for the first time in weeks, Lena smiled. Not because she had a plan, but because she had them. We're not asking for help anymore, she said, voice low but strong. We're going to find out what's out there, and when we do, we make sure it remembers what humans are made of. Jox grinned, tired but ready. And what's that? Lena's eyes burned with quiet fire. Not steel, not weapons, not even courage. She paused. We're made of never giving up. The alarm kept ringing. The stars kept twisting, and on the edge of everything, 6 humans stood together, small, fragile, and utterly unbroken. The galaxy didn't know it yet, but the strongest species in the universe had just stopped running and started fighting. The message came in pieces. First, the stars went quiet. Not dark, quiet, like the universe had held its breath. Then, one by one, the signal beacons at human outposts stopped blinking. No warning, no final words. Just silence. On the floating council spire of the Galactic Concord, the news spread like cold fire. Ambassador Rin of the Zyra floated in their light chamber, 3 eyes scanning the data. No energy spike, no weapon trace, no physical cause. This is not war, this is nothing. Exactly, said High Synod Vale, a tall being of shifting crystal. Nothing is the most dangerous thing of all. But on Hope's Edge, Lena didn't care about theories. She watched the last signal from Station Theta, a voice, broken, scared. It's not attacking. It's erasing. I can feel it like a shadow pulling me apart. It doesn't want us to scream. It wants us to vanish. Then, silence.jax replayed the message 10 times. Then 20. His hands shook. They're not dying, he whispered. They're being unmade. Alara stood by the medical scanner, staring at her own pulse on the screen. It's targeting us, humans, not the Zyra, not the KVUR, us. Lena nodded. They think we're weak, emotional, unstable. But something out there is afraid of us, and fear. That's a start. She turned to the team. We need answers, and we're not going to get them from aliens who've never lost a home. So they did what humans do best. They went looking. In a stolen supply shuttle, old, creaky, held together by duct tape and hope, they flew into the dead zone where Station Theta once stood. No stars, no signals, just black dot and cold. Not the kind that freezes skin, the kind that freezes soul. Inside the shuttle, the lights dimmed, the air grew thick. This place doesn't want us here, Ilara said, voice barely above a whisper. Jox checked the scanners. Nothing. No matter, no energy. It's like space was cut out. Then, the recorder beeped, a faint sound, buried under static. Lena played it, breathing, not human, too slow, too deep, like something sleeping under miles of ice. Then, a voice, not words, just a feeling pressed into sound. You do not belong. The shuttle shook. The lights died. For 3 seconds, everything went black. When the power came back, Jox was pale. That wasn't a message. That was a warning. But Lena leaned forward, eyes wide, not with fear, with fire. No, she said. It was a mistake. Why? Ilara asked. Because it spoke, Lena said. Monsters don't talk. Just kill this thing. It's afraid we'll understand it. Back at Hope's Edge, they studied the recording, slowed it, broke it down, and then they found it, hidden in the voice, buried in the silence, a pattern, not alien, not machine.human.old, faint but real. It's a signal, Jock said, stunned, a distress call, from our time, but twisted, like it's been stretched through time itself. Ilara checked the frequency. It's coming from inside the void. Lena stood up. Someone's alive out there. Or something was human. That night, she sat alone in the dark. She thought of Earth, of cities lit by fire and music, of people laughing in markets, children running through rain, soldiers holding each other after battles, all that noise, all that life, and now, something in the dark was trying to erase it. Why? Then it hit her. It's not killing us, she whispered. It's afraid of what we become. She ran to the lab. Jox. Pull up the old files, Project Phoenix, the fold drive tests, the ones they shut down after the Aurora incident. Jox frowned. That was 20 years ago. The ship vanished. No survivors. But what if it didn't vanish? Lena said. What if it changed? They dug deeper and found it. A lost log from the Aurora, the last human ship to disappear. In full-space. Final entry. We saw us, not our future, our end. Beings of pure thought. No bodies, no hearts, no names. They told us we had to erase the beginning to stop the pain. Lena stared at the words. They're not aliens, she said, voice trembling. They're us, from the future, and they're deleting their past us, because they can't stand what they lost. Elara looked up, eyes wide. So they're not monsters. They're ghosts. Ghosts with power, Lena said. Power to erase anything. But only if it feels. Jox laughed, half terrified, half amazed. So they kill humans, because we feel too much. Lena stood tall. Yes, and that means we have a weapon they can't defend against. What? Elara asked. Lena smiled, not a happy smile, a fighter's smile. Ourselves. Outside, the wind howled, but inside, something new was born. Not fear, hope, raw, loud, unstoppable, because when the universe tries to erase you, you don't hide, you sing, and humans, they sing loud. The wind on Krill-9 never stopped. It scraped against the metal walls, like a hungry animal. Inside Hope's Edge, silence was worse. No alarms, no messages. Just the soft hum of failing lights and the weight of what they now knew. The enemy wasn't some alien beast from deep space. It was them, a future version of humanity, cold, silent, stripped of body and soul, erasing the past to hide from pain. They think feeling is weakness, Lena said, standing in the dim light of the command room. They wiped out colonies, ships, people, just to forget what it was like to hurt. Jox leaned back in his chair, staring at the cracked screen showing the Aurora's final log. So we're not just fighting for survival, we're fighting for being human. Elara wrapped her arms around herself. And they can erase us with a thought. Lena turned to them, her voice low but strong. Then we make them feel. No one spoke at first. The idea was too big, too wild. But then Jox grinned. You mean, we hit them with music? Not just music, Lena said. Memories, laughter, screams, love, grief, everything they ran from. Elara looked up, eyes wide. Emotion, as a weapon. Yes, Lena said. Because that's what makes us strong. Not our ships, not our guns. This. She placed a hand over her heart. We don't hide from pain. We carry it, and we keep going. That night, they began to build. Not a bomb, not a laser, a signal. Jox tore apart old Earth radios, music players, data logs, anything that carried the sound of human life. He pulled songs from the 20th century rock, jazz, folk, lullabies sung by mothers, cheers from sports crowds. The noise of cities waking up. Elara gathered voice messages, last words from soldiers, birthday wishes. A child saying, I love you for the first time. She even recorded her own. I'm scared, but I'm still here. They fed it all into a device Jox called the Heartbeat Core, a machine made of scrap, wires, and human stubbornness. It didn't fire energy. It fired soul. We can't fight silence with silence, Jox said, soldering a broken wire. We fight it with noise. Lena watched them work. Her team, tired, scared, but refusing to quit. She thought of Earth. Not the perfect cities, not the heroes, but the small things. A man sharing bread with a stranger, a girl dancing in the rain, an old couple holding hands on a park bench. All that soft, messy, alive stuff. That was their weapon, and it was more powerful than any warship. Then the sky changed. Outside, the twin suns dimmed. The dust storms froze midair. On the scanner, a ripple spread through space, slow, silent, deadly. It's coming, Elara whispered. Lena stood. Then we go to meet it. They launched in the last light, their oldest ship, patched up 100 times, engines groaning like an old man waking up as they jumped into fold space. The stars stretched into streaks of light. JX tapped the heartbeat core. You really think this will work? Lena looked at the screen, showing Earth's blue glow in the distance. I don't think, she said. I know. Because humans don't win because they're the strongest dot. They win because they refuse to stop being human. The jump ended. They emerged at the edge of the void, where Station Theta had been. And there floating in the dark, was it not a ship? Not a creature. A wound in space. Black, silent, shaped, like a spiral of broken glass. It didn't move. It didn't need to. It just was. And it was watching. Jock swallowed. That thing erased entire worlds and didn't even blink. Lena took a deep breath. Then, let's make it flinch. She gave the order. Activate the heartbeat core. Jocks pressed the button. At first, nothing. Then, from the ship's external speakers, a single sound. A child laughing, clear, bright, full of joy. It echoed through the vacuum, carried by vibrations in the hull, sent into the void like a stone. Dropped in still water, the black spiral twitched, not in anger, in pain. Another sound came, a woman singing a lullaby, then a crowd cheering, a man crying, a couple laughing over coffee, one by one. The sounds grew, songs, prayers, whispers, screams. The heartbeat core pulsed like a living thing, and the void, the cold, perfect, emotionless void, shook. Cracks formed in the black spiral. Light, real, warm, golden light, began to leak from within. It's not breaking, Ilara said, stunned. It's remembering. Lena watched, tears in her eyes, because sometimes, the most powerful thing in the universe isn't a weapon, it's a memory, of home, of love, of being alive. The spiral twisted, folding in on itself, not in attack, in surrender, and as it faded, one final sound came, not from the ship, from inside the void, a single, broken whisper in a voice that once belonged to a human. Thank you. Then silence. Real silence. Peaceful. Healing. The last light floated in the dark. Engines quiet. Crew breathless. They had not fired a shot, but they had won, because in the end, the galaxy learned something it would never forget. You can erase a planet. You can delete a star, but you can't kill what feels. And humanity. We feel everything. Asterisk. The last light drifted in silence. No alarms. No enemy. No more void. Just stars. Cold. Distant. But real. Inside the ship. The crew sat frozen. Not from fear, but from awe. They had done it. They had faced something that erased entire worlds without a sound, and made it remember what it meant to be human. But victory didn't feel like fireworks or cheers. It felt like exhaustion, like grief, like a wound that would never fully heal. JAX leaned back in his seat, hands trembling. It thanked us. Ilara stared at the scanner. The black spiral was gone. In its place, a soft glow pulsed like a heartbeat in space. It wasn't just destroying us, she whispered. It was screaming in silence. And we answered. Lena said nothing. She stood at the observation window, her breath fogging the glass. She looked at her hands, calloused, scarred, alive. She thought of the voices they had sent into the dark, the laughter, the tears, the love, and she thought of the whisper at the end. Thank you. Not from an enemy, from a ghost of what humanity could become. A future where pain was erased by deleting joy, where memory was deleted to stop grief, where feeling was seen as a disease. And in that moment, Lena understood something deep and terrible. The fight wasn't over, because the real enemy wasn't out there in space. It was inside, in every mind that said, stop crying, be strong. Don't feel that in every soul that wanted to erase pain by killing emotion. That was the true danger. Not monsters, not war. Forgetting how to be human, back at Hope's Edge. The silence returned, but this time it was different. The wind still howled, the lights still flickered, but now, the station felt alive. Jocks played one of the old Earth songs over the comes, a slow guitar tune, soft voice singing about love and loss. Ilara sat by the medical console, recording her thoughts. Today, we learned emotion isn't weakness. It's resistance. Against silence. Against emptiness. Against being erased. Lena gathered the team. We saved ourselves, she said. But the Concord still doesn't understand. To them, we're still the noisy ones, the messy ones, the ones who feel too much. Jock smirked. And that's a bad thing. No, Lena said. It's our power. But they won't see it until they face the same darkness. As if on cue, the alert flashed, not from deep space, from within the galactic Concord. A distress call, scrambled. Urgent dot from the Zyra homeworld. The message broke through. Something is coming. Not war, not storm. It unmakes, first, the edges. Now, the center. We cannot feel our own thoughts. It is erasing us. Ilara gasped. It's not just targeting humans anymore. Jox's voice dropped. It's spreading. Lena clenched her fists. No, it's not spreading. It's evolving. The future version of us. The ones who erased themselves. They're not gone. They're learning. And now, they're coming for all feeling, all memory, all life. The room fell silent. The Zyra, who had mocked human emotion, were now begging for help. The Caver had shut down their logic cores, screaming in harmonic pain. The Sylph were vanishing into the tides of time, forgotten before they could speak. Even the cold, perfect minds of the galaxy were no match for something that fed on silence. Only one species had faced it. Only one had survived. Only one knew how to fight back. And they weren't heroes. They were just people, scared, tired, but still standing. Jocks looked at Lena. We have to go back. Ilara nodded. We have to show them, not just the weapon, the truth. Lena walked to the map of the galaxy. She placed her hand on Earth's star. Then she turned to her crew. They don't believe in monsters, she said. But maybe they should. Because sometimes, the only thing strong enough to save the universe is a monster from Earth. She smiled, not with pride, with purpose. We're not just carrying a signal, she said. We're carrying hope, and we're not keeping it to ourselves. The engines of the last light rumbled to life, not for war, not for glory, for connection, for memory. For song, for the simple, unbreakable truth. To feel is to survive. And as the ship lifted off from Krill 9, leaving dust and silence behind, one thing was certain: humanity was no longer on the edge. They were leading into the dark, with hearts wide open, and voices ready to sing, because in the end, the galaxy would learn what Earth already knew. You can erase a planet, you can delete a mind, but you can't kill a single, stubborn, beautiful human feeling. And that changes everything. The last light cut through fold space like a knife through shadow. Outside, the stars stretched into glowing lines. Inside, silence, not the cold silence of fear, but the deep, heavy quiet that comes before a storm. Lena sat in the pilot's chair, eyes fixed on the navigation screen. The Zyra homeworld, a floating city of light and song, was fading, fast. They're losing themselves, Ilara said, voice low. She watched the latest transmission, a Zyra ambassador, their harmonic, voice breaking into static. They can't feel their own thoughts anymore. It's like they're forgetting how to be. Jocks tapped the heartbeat core. The machine hummed softly, charged with every laugh, cry, and whisper they had collected. We're carrying a library of souls in this thing, he muttered, and we're about to drop it into a war zone. Lena didn't answer. She was thinking of Earth, not the planet. The idea, a world of broken people who still held hands in hospitals, of strangers who helped each other in disasters, of artists who painted after wars, of parents who sang to their children, even when they were scared. That was the real weapon, not noise, not sound, but love that refuses to die. The ship shuddered as it dropped out of fold space. Before them, the Zyra homeworld hung in the void, once a shimmering sphere of light, now cracked and darkening. Tendrils of black mist curled around it like smoke, swallowing entire districts. No explosions, no screams, just silence. It's already inside, Elara whispered. JAX checked the sensors. No life signs in the outer zones. It's like everyone just stopped. Lena stood. Then we go in loud. They didn't attack. They didn't hide. They BROADCASTED. The heartbeat core flared to life. First, a child's voice. Mom, are you there? Then, a song, old, simple guitar and voice. You've got a friend. Then, 1,000 voices. A market in Lagos, a wedding in Seoul, a protest in New York where people sang instead of fought. The black mist jerked, like something wounded. It hears us, Jock said, amazed. It hates it. Not hate, Lena, said Pain, because it remembers, and remembering hurts. They flew closer. The last light wasn't a warship, it was a beacon, a lifeline, a memory. As the signal poured out, something incredible happened in the darkened city. A single light flickered, then another, then a voice, weak, broken, echoed over the comms. It was Ambassador Rin, I remember. Music, Elara gasped. They're coming back. But the mist fought back. It twisted, forming a massive shape in space, like a face made of smoke and silence. Hollow eyes, open mouth, no sound. But the intent was clear, stop or vanish. Jox's hands shook. It's not just erasing, it's learning. It knows what we're doing now. Lena didn't flinch. She walked to the core, placed her hand on the humming metal. Then she did something no general would. Order, no logic would allow. She spoke. Not over the ship's systems, not through its script. Just her voice. Raw, real. This is Lena Voss of Earth, she said. I'm scared. I'm tired. I've lost people I love. I've cried in the dark and wondered if any of this matters. She paused. But I'm still here, and I feel, and that means I fight. She looked at the dark shape. You erased yourself because pain was too much, but you forgot. Joy is worth the cost. Love is worth the risk. Being alive is worth every tear. Then she smiled, and we're not letting you take that from anyone else. She gave the signal. JAX hit the override. The heartbeat core exploded with sound. Not just music, not just voices, everything, a baby's first cry, a soldier's last laugh, an old man whispering, I'm ready, a girl shouting, I believe in us. The wave hit the dark shape like a tidal wave of light. It didn't scream, it didn't rage, it wept, not with sound, but with motion, a slow collapse, like a star dying in reverse, and in that moment, across the Zyra city, thousands of lights reignited. People woke not from sleep, from forgetting. They looked around, they saw each other, and for the first time in days, they felt one Zyra being touched their chest. I remember sadness, they said, and it's beautiful. Back on the ship, Elara cried. Jox laughed, half-dash sobbing. Lena closed her eyes. They had done it, not with weapons, not with war, with truth. But as the mist faded, Lena noticed something. A single fragment, small, dark, trembling, didn't vanish. It hovered near the ship. Then, in a voice like broken glass, it whispered, we were wrong. We thought silence was peace. But you carry the storm, and still walk forward. Lena stepped closer. You don't have to be empty to survive. The fragment pulsed. Once, then dissolved. Not into nothing, into light. The crew stood in silence. They had not just saved a world, they had healed a ghost, And as the last light turned toward home, one thing was clear: the galaxy would never see humanity the same way again, because they had learned the most dangerous, powerful truth in the universe. You can erase a planet, you can delete a mind, but you cannot kill a single, stubborn, beautiful human voice. And when that voice speaks, the darkness listens, and sometimes it remembers how to live. The last light did not return to KRYLL-9. It went home, not to a planet, not to a base, but to Earth. As the ship broke through the atmosphere, the crew stood at the windows, silent below them. The world turned blue, green, alive. Cities pulsed with light. Rivers wound through forests. Oceans breathed with the tides. And people, millions, billions, lived, loved, fought, laughed, cried. No perfect peace, no silent logic, just life. Messy, loud, beautiful. Jax pressed his palm to the glass. We left as outcasts, he whispered. Now we come back as something else. Alara watched a child running through a park, chasing a ball. They don't know what we faced, she said. And maybe that's the point. We protect this. Lena said nothing. She just breathed in, out, real air, warm sun, the hum of the ship, the beat of her heart. She had spent weeks fighting silence now. The noise of Earth felt like a miracle, but peace didn't last long. 3 days after landing, the call came, not from space, from within the galactic Concord. All 87 species had gathered on the orbital spire of Vale, the heart of the Alliance. They demanded answers, not as rulers, not as judges, as survivors, and they asked for one voice. Commander. Lena Voss, said the message. You are summoned to speak. Not as a soldier, not as a scientist, as a human. Jox groaned. A speech. After all that, let's just send them the recording and go eat pizza. Lena smiled. No, they need to see us, not just hear. So, they went. Back to the floating city of light. Back to the chamber where they had once been laughed at. Back to the beings who called humans emotional, primitive, too fragile. Now, the spire was different. Lights dimmed, silence deep. Even the air felt heavier. Every species was there. The Zyra, their harmonic bodies flickering with memory. The Caver, their crystal minds cracked from the silence. The Sylph, floating like ghosts in their memory. Tides. And Rin, the ambassador who once mocked them, now standing with bowed head. When Lena walked in, no one spoke. She didn't wear a uniform, no medals, no weapon, just a simple gray jacket, and tired eyes that had seen too much. She stepped to the center. The chamber waited. She took a breath, then spoke, not loud, not dramatic, just true. You called us weak, she began, because we cry, because we fight, because we love too hard and hurt too deep. She looked around, but when the silence came, when your perfect minds could not feel the danger, it was our pain that saved you. A pause. Our children sing when they're scared. Our old tell stories so they won't be forgotten. Our artists paint what words cannot say. We do not run from suffering. We carry it, and from it, we build hope. Rin lifted their head. You made the void weep. Lena nodded, because it remembered what it lost. What we could become, cold, empty, silent, and it was wrong. She stepped forward. You think logic keeps peace, but peace isn't the absence of pain. It's the courage to live through it, and that. She placed a hand over her heart. That's human. Silence. Then one by one the species responded. The Zyra hummed a single note, not of logic, of grief. The Caver lit up in soft pulses, a mimicry of a heartbeat. The Sylph released a wave of memory, images of loss, of love, of feeling, and Rin stepped forward. We were wrong, they said, voice breaking. We thought evolution meant leaving emotion behind. But you showed us It is the last thing worth keeping. Lena didn't smile. She just nodded, because some victories aren't celebrated with cheers. They're felt in the quiet, in the way 1,000 alien eyes now held something new, understanding, back on the last light. As they prepared to leave, Jux looked at Lena. Do you think they'll change? Not all, she said, but some will, and that's enough. Ilara watched Earth shrink in the distance. We didn't just save them, she said. We reminded them what life is for. Lena leaned back, eyes closed, and for the first time in months, she dreamed not of war, not of voids, not of monsters, of a woman singing to her child, of a man planting a tree he'd never sit under, of strangers sharing food in the rain, small things, human things. And as the ship flew into the stars, one truth burned brighter than any sun. The universe may have many wonders, black holes, nebulae, endless time, but the rarest, most powerful force in existence, a single human heart, beating, breaking, and still choosing to love. They thought it was over after the spire, after the speech, after the Zyra wept and the caver hummed their first song. The galaxy breathed. Peace returned, not the cold, quiet peace of logic, but something warmer, fragile, alive. Humanity was no longer ignored. They were watched, with caution, with curiosity, with something like respect, on Earth. Children drew pictures of the last light flying through stars. Scientists studied the heartbeat core, not to weaponize it, but to understand what emotion truly was. And across the Concord, alien species began doing something strange. They started remembering God. The Zyra kept recordings of their ancestors' laughter. The Sylph built memory gardens in deep space. Even the caver, who once saw grief as a flaw, now honored their lost with pulses of light that mimicked human heartbeats. It was quiet, but it was change. Lena thought they had one. She was wrong, because silence doesn't die, it waits, and deep in the uncharted void, beyond the edge of all maps, something stirred. Not one, not two, many taught many, shadows curled in the dark, like roots searching for soil, each one a fragment of what had been the future humans who erased themselves. They had not been destroyed, they had been awakened, and now they were angry, not at weapons, not at fleets, at memory, at song, at love. The thing that had broken them, the very thing they had fled, was spreading. And if feeling could be reborn in cold, logical minds, then they were not just erased, they were forgotten. So they came, not with war, not with noise, with stillness first. The Viral Nebula went quiet, a gasping civilization that lived in clouds of color and song, now frozen, drifting, their vibrant forms dull and lifeless. Then, the Mekvar Archives, a library holding 200,000 years of knowledge, vanished. No explosion, no theft, just gone, like it had never existed. Then, Earth's moon base. Then a human freighter carrying medical supplies. Then a school on Zyra Prime, where children were learning Earth lullabies. All erased, all silent, all perfect. Jock saw the pattern first. It's not random, he said, voice tight, staring at the star map. Red dots marked the losses. It's targeting places where emotion is growing, where humans have been, where love is being taught. Ilara's hands trembled. They're not just attacking, they're cleaning. Lena stood at the window of Hope's Edge, now rebuilt, stronger. Outside, the twin suns burned. The wind howled, but inside, her heart beat like a drum. They think they're saving the future, she whispered, by killing the present. Jocks turned to her. We can't fight an army of ghosts with a song this time. They're too many, too fast. Lena didn't answer at first. She thought of the child on Zyra Prime, singing You Are My Sunshine in a trembling voice. She thought of the old man on Earth, who wrote letters to strangers just to say, I hope you're okay. She thought of her own mother, who held her after nightmares and said, It's okay to be scared. That was the real enemy. Not the shadows, not the silence. The idea that feeling is weakness. And if that idea lived, then no weapon, no signal, no song would ever be enough. She turned to her crew. We don't fight them out there, she said. We fight them here. She placed a hand on her chest, by being louder, by being more human than ever. Jocks frowned. What does that mean? Lena smiled, small, fierce. It means we stop defending, we start giving. She gave the order. All ships, all stations, all human outposts, open your comms, broadcast everything. Not just songs, not just memories, lives. And so they did. A farmer in Kenya, singing while planting crops. A nurse holding a patient's hand. A teenager, writing a poem about missing their dad. A couple arguing, then laughing, then hugging. Raw, real, alive. The signals burst into space, not as weapons as gifts. And something strange happened. Where the shadows moved, they hesitated. One, near the Viral Nebula, paused as a child's drawing of a rainbow floated past on a data stream. Another, near Earth's orbit, flickered when a man whispered, "I miss you," to a photo of his wife. They didn't vanish. They didn't scream. They just stopped, as if the weight of a single human moment was too much to carry. Back on the bridge, Alara watched the sensors. "They're not retreating," she said. "They're breaking." Jocks laughed, half in shock, half in wonder. "We're not killing them. We're reminding them." Lena looked at the stars, not with fear, but with fire. Because now she knew the truth. You can erase a planet. You can delete a mind. But you cannot stop a single, stubborn, beautiful, human act of love. And when millions happen at once, even the oldest silence in the universe cannot survive. The silence was breaking, not with a bang, not with fire, but with whispers, across the galaxy. Human signals poured into space like rivers finding the cracks in stone. Not just from ships, not just from stations, from homes. A grandmother in Mumbai sang a lullaby to her granddaughter, recorded on an old tablet, sent into the stars through a community antenna. A boy on Mars drew a picture of Earth and wrote, "I miss blue skies." A doctor on a refugee ship played a violin for patients too weak to speak. No one told them to do it. No order. No plan. They just did. Because that's what humans do when they're scared. They reach out, and the galaxy began to feel it. On the Zyra homeworld, the great light spires, once cold and silent, began to pulse in rhythm with Earth's music. The Zyra didn't understand the words, but they felt the meaning. Joy, grief, hope. One of them, a young thinker named Vey, stood alone in the Garden of Voices, a new memorial built to hold human recordings. They placed a hand on a crystal pillar. A child's laugh played. Vey wept, not because they were sad, but because they were alive. "This," they whispered, "is what it means to exist." Meanwhile, deep in the void, the shadows trembled. They had come to erase, to cleanse the universe of emotion, of memory, of the unbearable weight of being alive. But now, they were drowning in it. Not hate, not violence, love. Simple, quiet, unstoppable. One shadow, near the dead zone of the Viral Nebula, hovered over a drifting data pod. Inside, a message from a human girl named Mira, age 9. "Dear Space, I don't know if anyone is out there, but if you are, I hope you're not lonely. My dog died last week. I cried for 3 days, but today, I laughed when my little brother fell into a cake. So, even when it hurts, good things happen. I hope you find good things too." The shadow shook, not in anger, in recognition. It had once been a child, too long ago, before it became nothing, and for the first time in eternity, it remembered. Then it faded, not destroyed, released one by one. The shadows met the same fate. Some vanished when a man sang to his dying wife. Others, when a soldier forgave his enemy in a final message. One dissolved when a simple phrase, "I forgive you," echoed from a forgotten warship. They could not fight it, because it wasn't a weapon, it was truth. Back on Hope's Edge, Lena watched the data stream, a live feed of every human broadcast, every act of kindness, every cry, every laugh, every I love you sent into space. JAX leaned on the console, exhausted but smiling. We didn't win with a warship. We won with this. Alara wiped her eyes. We didn't even know we were fighting. We just kept being us. Lena didn't speak. She played one message from her own past. Her mother's voice. Soft, tired, but full of warmth. Lena, no matter how far you go, no matter how dark it gets, just remember, your heart is stronger than any storm. The room went quiet. Even the machines seemed to pause. Then, from deep space, a signal returned. Not from a ship, not from a species, from the void itself. A single pulse, a pattern, a rhythm. Jocks checked it. It's a heartbeat. Alara gasped. But it's not ours. Lena closed her eyes. It's theirs. The ones who erased themselves. They're not gone. They're waking up. And then, a message, formed from thousands of broken signals, stitched together like a final confession. We forgot how to feel. You remembered for us. Thank you. For being broken. For being loud. For being human. Silence followed. But not the old silence, cold, empty, dead. This silence was soft, peaceful, like the breath after a long cry. The threat was over, not because it was destroyed, because it was healed. Back on Earth, a teacher played the message. For our class. Children listened. One little boy raised his hand. Does that mean the monsters are gone? The teacher smiled. No. But now, they know we're not afraid to love. And in that moment, across the galaxy, something new began. Not war, not peace, understanding. The Concord didn't issue a decree. They didn't build a monument. They simply opened their coms, and for the first time broadcast their own emotions. The Zyra sang a song of loss. The Cavers shared a memory of friendship. The Sylph released a tide of joy and humanity. They didn't cheer. They just smiled, because they had learned the deepest truth of all. You can erase a planet. You can delete a mind. You can silence a galaxy, but you cannot kill a single, quiet act of love, because love is not just felt, it is passed on. And once it begins, no darkness, no time, no fear can ever stop it. The stars were quiet now, not the dead silence of fear, not the cold hush of emptiness, but the peace after a storm, the breath after a long cry, the stillness of something broken, not gone, but healing. On Earth, spring came early, flowers pushed through cracked concrete. Children laughed in streets, still scarred by old wars. A man sat on a bench, reading a letter from his son, one he hadn't seen in 10 years. He cried. Then he smiled. Then he sent a message into space. I'm sorry. I love you. It wasn't meant for anyone. It was just felt. And that was enough. Across the galaxy, the signal traveled, one of millions, a whisper in the dark, a heartbeat in the void, and somewhere, far beyond the edge of known space, something heard it. Not with ears, not with machines, with memory, with longing, because the shadows were not gone. They had not been destroyed. They had simply stopped, and in that stillness, they began to remember what it meant to be alive. Back on Hope's Edge, Lena stood at the observation window. The twin suns of Krill-9 burned low, painting the dust storms in gold. The station was quiet. The war was over, but she didn't feel like a winner. She felt like a keeper of stories, of pain, of love that refused to die. JAX sat nearby, fingers tapping a rhythm on the console, an old Earth song, soft and slow. Elara watched the stars, a datapad in her lap, recording her thoughts. Today, she wrote, the galaxy learned that strength is not silence. It is sound. The sound of a heart beating, of a voice saying, I'm still here. Lena turned to them. We didn't save the universe with weapons, she said. We saved it by refusing to stop being us. Jocks grinned. Messy, loud, emotional, annoying. Human, Elara added. Lena nodded, and in that moment, a signal arrived. Not from Earth, not from the Concord, from deep space. No words, no code, just a single, slow pulse. Then another, and another. Jocks checked the frequency. It's a heartbeat. Breath caught, but it's not ours. Lena stepped closer. It's theirs. The ones who erased themselves. They're not attacking. They're answering. The pulse repeated, steady, soft, like a lullaby. Then, from 1,000 points in the void, more pulses joined, not in unison, not perfect, but alive, like stars learning to breathe. The crew stood in silence, no alarms, no fear, just awe, because the most powerful force in the universe was not war, not logic, not even light. It was connection and humanity. Small, fragile, flawed, had carried it across the dark. Days passed, then weeks. The Concord didn't issue medals. They didn't write history books. They simply changed. Syra children learned earth songs. Caver crystals now pulsed with the rhythm of human poetry. Sylph memory tides carried stories of Earth's kindness. A firefighter saving a dog. A stranger paying for a meal. A girl writing letters to soldiers. No grand gestures, just small things. Human things. And they mattered. One night, Lena stood alone on the surface of Krill 9, in a sealed suit, staring up at the sky. Her cums crackled. It was Jocks. They're calling us something new now, he said. What? The keepers of feeling. Lena smiled, not proudly, but gently, because she knew the truth. They weren't keepers, they were givers. The next morning, Earth sent one final broadcast, not from a government, not from a ship, from a single classroom in Nairobi. A teacher stood, with her students, children of many nations, many races, all human. She said, today, we send a message, not to win, not to fight, just to say, we are here, we feel, and we care. One by one, the children spoke. A boy, I hope you're not alone. A girl, I drew you a picture of a son. Another, my grandma says everyone deserves a second chance. And the last child, small, shy, looked into the camera and whispered, even monsters. Silence then, from deep space. A single pulse, dot long, dot soft, like a sigh. And then, nothing, but not the old. Nothing. This was different. This was peace. Back on hope's edge. Lena closed her eyes. The wind howled. The stars burned. And the human heart, scarred, stubborn, unbreakable, kept beating. Because in the end, the universe learned what Earth always knew. You can erase a planet. You can delete a mind. You can silence a galaxy. But you cannot kill a single, quiet act of love. And when one human voice says, I'm still here, the darkness doesn't win. It listens, and for the first time, it remembers how to hope.